Hey everyone, welcome to the Tech, Earth, and Personal Growth podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in technology, growing inside, and the planet. It's all connected. Today we have Aaron Michael with us, entrepreneur, sustainable designer, and beneficiary of everything the Earth has to offer. And he's going to talk to us about his journey and what he's learned so far in life. I'm really excited for this conversation. I've been looking forward it for a while, and without further ado, welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, Matthias. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yep, excited to be here. Excited to be here. So what do you do? Provide, sort of a comprehensive account. How are you helping people? What is it that you do?
Yeah, so I have my company. It's called Earth Love Gardens, and we design edible and pollinator-friendly native plant landscapes, as well as install raised garden beds, hoop houses so you can grow year-round in your raised garden beds, as well as work with teams of volunteers to install such landscapes on a larger scale.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. That's pretty cool. Can you tell me more about those hoops?
Yeah, so the hoop houses I designed with all the best materials because before people would scrounge together random materials that, to allow you to extend your season because here in Colorado, you can only grow for less than half the year. So there was a big hole in the market for something of great quality. So I designed something with the best greenhouse plastic that you can buy, basically the best made for full-size greenhouses, and then we cut it up to fit people's small gardens. And so this is like, these are industrial materials for people's gardens. And two clients of mine have shown that they can raise the temperature of their garden by about 30 degrees inside their hoop house versus outside. And this is without any more heating. This is all passive heating. So you can grow, it adds about 3 months to your growing season, as well as allows you to grow year round for things like leafy green vegetables.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really interesting that the more you understand about nature, how the environment works, the more you can, sort of reshape it to help you in whatever you're doing. Um,
Mhm.
so what is a hoop house for us that aren't experts yet?
Yeah, so a hoop house is another name for a greenhouse, but the ones that have the steel hoops that are bent, and there's large high tunnel hoop houses, which you'll see on farms and such, and then there are low tunnel hoop houses, which you'll also see on farms, but they're the little ones, and we create the low tunnel hoop houses, custom made to fit people's garden beds.
Awesome. That's super cool. That's super cool. I have a tiny balcony, and I'm trying to figure out how to sort of, grow my own life in my house. I live sort of in a very urban area, so uh, yeah, I'm trying to figure that out. It's an interesting challenge. I mean, obviously, I can do some indoor planting, but I feel like it's not the same as having land to work with.
Yeah, you want to connect with the elements. That's what it's all about.
You really do. And I mean, a lot of cities these days it's just a lot of concrete, and um, the elements aren't what they usually are
Mhm.
out in, just uh,
Mhm.
a more open land. So, all right. So let's move on to some fundamentals. So, what is regenerative agriculture?
Yeah. So regenerative agriculture, as I understand it, is using closed loop systems to uh, more intelligently grow our own food. the opposite of that would be, since the chemical industries have gone into our, food systems, they sell pesticides and chemical fertilizers, and this is terrible for the environment. The runoff goes into waterways, and I've heard from multiple sources that this is the number one cause for the loss of pollinators.
Oh
I
my
focus
God.
on creating habitat. However, it's the pesticides that is the number one loss. Creating habitat, loss of habitat, those are, up there too. But regenerative agriculture is doing stuff as smart as possible and, doing like rotational grazing with the cattle, you know, using compost, rather simple, intelligent ways that replenish the land rather than exploit it.
Right, because the land has sort of designed its own, like over time, over evolutionary time, the land has designed its own systems to regenerate itself and to continue to create its own life.
Yes.
But as people, we also need to eat, and there are more intelligent ways, like you said, to produce food
Yeah. Yeah. Nature
without
has
without
intelligence.
pesticides.
Right.
Nature has
Yeah.
intelligence, and without pesticides, because you don't need like the pesticides are a simple solution, but it's like you eat two cookies. You eat a cookie today, or you get 10 cookies tomorrow with regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture takes more time, it takes more studying. So that's why it's harder to implement at the commercial level. But it's what we need. It's what's necessary. We can't keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Nature has its own intelligence, and people have been living forever working with nature. And then, since, let's say, the Industrial Revolution, people have been starting to get away from nature, and we're creating a system that's, taking nature down, or it might take us first down, and then nature will live after us. But we don't want our species to have to suffer or the whole world to suffer. So this is just tapping into things that make sense and not just getting a few corporations rich because, there's another dollar to be made. But there's another wonderful, day on Earth to be had. So these are more intelligent ways to and they feel right to work with the Earth systems to to do this sustainably, regeneratively.
Yeah. So how has your journey evolved in understanding the Earth's systems? Because I can imagine at some point it must have been overwhelming. There are oceans. You have, as we were talking before, the water tables. The nuanced branches that water takes as it travels down soil and into underground caves. I mean, this planet is gigantic. I mean, based on what we can perceive on the day to day, it's sort of hard for me to sort of get a complete vision of everything that's happening in the world. So how has that journey evolved over the years of understanding Earth?
Yeah. So I started 5 years ago. I was curious to see how well this the little weeding tool would help pull the weeds out of the ground, and I'd say it worked really well because 5 years later, I'm following my passion in this field, and that's something I can share with everybody as advice: is follow your passion when working. With things, A, in your life, and B, if you're working in this industry of gardens, agriculture, anything to do with the earth, and, anything to do with like connecting with people, because this is all connected. It just was a constant learning experience. First, I started with the weeds. Then I was curious what weeds are edible, what are medicinal. And then I learned about more about raised bed gardening. And then I learned, hey, here in Colorado, we can grow for less than half the year. What's the solution for that? So then I started, using the season extension with the cold frames and hoop houses. Cold frames are like more of the like wooden greenhouse style, but hoop houses I found are just easier to make and actually probably more effective. And then learned the following year the importance of pollinator gardens and how pollinators are important for our food source and for our ecosystem. And then later on learned about permaculture design. So it's been a constant learning experience, and I've just been following I've been following a calling uh, down this path, and it's super rewarding information. It's super rewarding work. Um, yeah, so having a desire, a passion for learning and continuing to improve and continuing to better myself and connect with myself authentically, with others, with the earth, as much as possible, getting more natural rhythms is super, super, super rewarding. It feels great. It feels right.
Feels right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just in sync with what the planet needs to continue living. I mean, it's a blessing. You go out in nature, in real nature, and you see it, and you experience it, and you're like, wow, is there really not a better way to do this? I was with some friends hiking the other day, and I was trying to imagine how I could create sort of a high-tech village that was, when I say high-tech, I mean sustainable tech that gives me everything I need, but at the same time is non-intrusive or as non-intrusive as possible to the land. And that those are problems that we need to solve, and those are problems that we need to work on because we have all this technology, we've gained all this comfort. So how can we integrate the comfort with sustainable systems so that we can actually bring a solution forward? Because a lot of people have gotten too comfortable with all of the one-off plastics, just throwing everything in the same trash can instead of composting and separating materials that need to be separated. There are just so many things that need to be done for this all to work. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have that dream. It's like a vision of people living in community, growing their own food, connecting with each other. Is that what you were thinking of?
Yeah. Of course. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just a different way. So it's like, and we can keep doing everything we're doing, building all the technology, still
yeah,
making all this great art, still being able to travel places and everything, but, really focusing on that community growth and
yeah. And we have, I feel done in balance, we could utilize these technologies for the greater good. And I feel that's what they're created for, most of them. And it's just when things go out of balance, when, people consume too much and things are made in a way not thinking of, the end product of when it's, trash. Like if we do things more intelligently and with more care and thought, that, like we're smart, intelligent, we're a smart, intelligent species. So, and these technologies are supposed to make our lives easier and better. So, yeah, I agree with you that done in balance, like these things can really help us and help the earth.
certainly. So, and one thing there is just the mindset, like the lens through which people view this problem is not always as it's not always what it needs to be. So I think that we need to apply the intelligence we learn about how Earth works in order to produce sustainable civilizations and also sort of shift the mindset. So what do you think about shifting the mindset? What do you want to tell people?
Yeah. So something that I live by and through a lens is living through my heart, um, which, if you read up on, is how old societies more so lived, not from their head, but more from their heart, because the heart's the center of your body. Uh, Different books will tell you like it's a vehicle for connection, that the heart connects with other people's hearts, and there's real intelligence there. So by making my mind a tool that works for my heart, it feels right, it feels great, it feels like I feel driven, I feel passionate about my work, it feels to be the message, and it's never let me down. And that's why, people say follow your heart and, live from your heart, and I do that, and it really is the best lens to do great work from. So part of my message, that's why my business is called Earth Love Gardens, is getting people to live from their heart. And in learning to live from my heart, say about 5 years ago, yes, I at the same time learned that you can't have the earth without living from your heart. And in fact, like if you rearrange the letters of heart, you get earth. And because the earth provides for us, and if we provide for her, it's a two-way, mutual beneficial relationship, and it's reconnecting with that that's so important. And without reconnecting with the heart, without reconnecting with the earth, what are we doing this for? And yeah, it's the thing to do.
Yeah. It A lot of people, I feel, are sort of stuck in this loop of, they do their work for companies that might not necessarily be too sustainable. They do their work, and they come back home and they replenish themselves with comforts that are not necessarily aligned with what's good for the rest of the planet. And I feel like it's not something that a lot of people pay attention to, but it's something that's in their subconscious, and that, maybe there's like a little bother about it. But, from what I've seen, people just brush it off a lot because, we've gotten used to a society where nobody really cares about the planet. Or at least many societies are like that. Of course, not all of them. There are many indigenous communities that have successfully understood how to interact with and live with nature and the different animals, from jaguars to birds to alligators, you name it. They've learned to successfully navigate the jungle. But we have forgotten that, and it's important to take a step back and look at the greater vision. And it's like give your life some purpose. In my opinion, like, give your life some purpose. Let's try to make things better, because right now they're not where they should be. Like, realistically, like, just empirically, if you look at all the damage that industries are causing, it can't be good in any way or sense. So we have to go in and we have to re-architect how companies are structured, and we need to shift the machinery, we need to shift the materials, we need to shift how we're cleaning water. There is a whole bunch of shifts that need to be done, and a lot of people are just like, oh, sustainability is just about reducing CO2 in the atmosphere. Like, okay, sure, like, that's one of the important problems, but there's just so much more to it. There's destroyed soil, there is trash everywhere, there is unbalanced water tables and destruction of nutrients. we need to figure out a way to like just rebuild, reconnect, and everything with all the biotechnology that's coming out. We might be able to find some pretty closed loop solutions like bacteria that only eat plastic in the ocean, and this is a very, very interesting field that I feel like is just right on the horizon and people haven't understood. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to contribute whatever I can to the whole enterprise.
Same here.
So what do you think about, what advice? Okay, all right. Let's talk a little bit more about the social barriers that are limiting learning about the planet. What are a few of them that you think are out there in the world?
Like you had mentioned, like living in a city and not having that green space to connect with or grow, and people not having enough money to get out of their rut.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's funny, you don't need as much money when you're growing your own food,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's the opposite. Like you don't need any money.
Yeah,
And
no, it's true. You don't really need money as long as you have clean source of water and you're able to grow your own food.
yeah.
You can make it work.
Or like live more like on a trading bartering economy. That has worked for many cultures. I remember in Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, one of the things was about an economy of gratitude, that things mean so much more when they're done, when they're bought, the currency is gratitude. Thank you for making me this thing, rather than here's some money for it. More of that, because having more gratitude for things is also an important component for all of this. So I think it's possible to get off the currency, the dollar, as much as possible. I know, I come from a privileged position where I am making enough money right now to say that. But before I was making enough money, I was like, maybe I should say screw this whole system, because I was broke, and just like live in a cave and forage my own food, grow my own food, trade. I feel like I could do it, and if I could do it, other people can do it too. And what would a world look like if more people weren't so money dependent? Because I know in our country, in the United States, like people are very driven by money. And there's two steps to this. I feel step one, driven for money to survive, which I've been there before. And then step two, driven by more money than you need. And if the people who do more of step two were more, if we had a system where people had more equal money, and people's needs were met, then people can focus more on their talents, their just creating a more fun, connective society, rather than so many people, a good portion of the population, doing what they need to survive.
I think that personally, I think that money can continue to exist. I mean, I think it's going to continue to exist, but I think that if you're able to educate a society on how to produce their own resources sustainably, take care of their own land, produce their own agriculture, if everybody's doing it, or we find just excellent ways of doing it, there's just the baseline that, like, if everybody had, let's just say, enough food, enough water, everything, we figure out a way to do that.
Yeah.
Money can be used for like more miscellaneous things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, buying a video game or something.
Yeah. it's supposed to be a tool, and
Yeah,
it's not. People aren't supposed to hoard the tool and use it to control people. That's insane. And this world that you talk of people growing their own food and being community. That's where we used to came. That's where we came from. So the
yeah,
future is going back to our roots.
it is. It is. Hopefully, that's the vision. That's the vision. What are some of the insights you've gained from understanding
Yeah,
nature?
yeah. I feel that I'm most myself when I'm out in nature, and you know, being in front of the computer or being on the phone. More and more every year, I realize I want less of that. I want less of this technology, that's just like I, in an imbalanced way, have been so addicted to. And it just feels sweet and nice to be outside, laying on the ground at the lake, listening to the birds, and just like, you just know it when you do it. Uh, and I feel that going back to talking about the heart, that was very important for me to have a vehicle, a channel, a perspective that this means a lot more than, hey, just let me just go to nature to recollect and, de-stress. But no, nature is the solution. Nature is where we're going. Nature is where we come from. Nature is what we are. So it really is letting go of who you think you are, because you are everything, including the nature, and you are life. That is the nature. When you open yourself to being in that lens, it's really, really cool. you know, like indigenous people would live that way. I learned last year in my permaculture course that, I live in a way that I love the earth and I feel connected with the earth and want to share that. And I learned that that's the indigenous way of life, to be connected with the earth and love her, and feel the love back. And yeah, it feels right. And that, I feel, is the direction our society needs to go, is letting more nature in, because it's devoid of nature for the most part, and it's becoming more and more, it seems, with more and more technology that's not keeping nature in mind. uh yeah.
So what technology has helped you personally
Yeah,
on your journey as a regenerative agriculture uh, practitioner?
yeah. Well, the things that I'd say I'm addicted to, it also greatly helped me. I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it wasn't for my computer.
It's a great point. It's a great
I Yeah, and they really are great tools. And I'd say my car is a great tool. Uh, it takes me around to go to these different farms and learn about permaculture. It takes me to the metro area.
Hold on,
And
let's pause. Let's pause. Okay, what is
Mhm.
permaculture?
Oh yeah, so permaculture is short for permanent culture. People can say it's also short for permanent agriculture. Uh, but it is intelligent systems and ways that we can live with the earth and with each other. It's just doing things more intelligently. Like, there are 12 principles to permaculture, and there's a lot to it, but like one of the principles is capturing and storing energy. And we can think of that as like, capturing and storing energy.
Right.
So like using rain barrels to capture water from like your shower or your gutter from the rain, and then using that to water your plants. Or, and people often think of permaculture through like an agricultural gardening lens, or like a bunch of hippies trying to, do it, in a smart way, but it really is an
Oh
intelligent
my
way
God, you're
to
cutting out again.
garden and farm. And permaculture also is you can see it through a social lens, that just like I'm saying with the heart, like there's a chart that you can see online. You start with the self, and when you create a regenerative self, then you work out with your social circle, and then from there, outside the social circle is like your community, and then outside of that are systems, if I remember this chart correctly. And the basis of that is you start with yourself, and you can work outward to create good in the world. And you can do that both in a social aspect and in a land aspect, and it connects.
That's awesome. I think that's just a great way to understand. It's a great lens through which to view the world. Like you said, I like that principle about capturing and storing energy, capturing and storing the energy of the water, of the rain that's coming in, of maybe the extra parts of plants that you can put right back into the soil, and use that. And like the jungle regenerates itself. It does that naturally. So how can we figure out the technologies that the natural world has figured out and implement them to produce food for us, in ways that still enables whatever system we build to produce the food to thrive and
Yeah.
maintains nature,
Yeah.
how it is, how it should be. And also another sort of component of permaculture is it's putting the right plants next to each other, right, to form symbiotic relationships.
Right. Yeah. And it's, like you say, we want to observe what's going on in nature so we can mimic that or work with that. And observe is, I believe, number one principle for permaculture, because people are so quick to want to act, and, are excited to work from what they're thinking and want to do right away. But chill out and watch what's going on, and you're going to learn. And yeah, so we want to learn from nature and do that for growing our own food, or basically any other component of our life.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, think we should start wrapping it up here a little bit. I think we've gotten a great conversation going, and
Oh yeah.
I would love to do this in the future again. Dive deeper into some of these subjects. But yeah, I think we got sort of a pretty good surface, like pretty good view of the surface.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love talking about this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's awesome. It's awesome. You learn a lot.
Yeah.
I'm learning a ton. So what advice do you have for people that want to get started in doing what you do?
Yeah. I mean, I can share from my experience, touch the earth, in the way that you feel right with it. Because, I started with like by killing plants and weeding. But, the plants have something to teach us if we listen. And there's this book called Evolutionary Herbalism. And they even talk about, connecting with the plants from your heart. And yeah, so listen, and not just with your ears, but with your heart. See if you can do that. And like I've been saying, connecting with my heart has been so pivotal in this journey. So, feel, if you're thinking too much, drop into your heart, in your chest. If you're thinking you have problems, show them love, really love these problems. And just having the right mindset or heart set, is the right, you're in your vehicle to do this great work and follow your heart for your passion. And it'll lead you to really, I feel, in my experience, natural ways of living and being and doing. And go that route. And always be learning, always keep learning and listening to yourself, to your, people around you, to the land. And yeah, the nature always has an answer, and everything in nature happens in perfect timing. So be patient and yeah, and enjoy it as much as possible. And people may have different life circumstances, like if you have children, it takes a village to raise a child. The fact that people have to independently, raise their kids is not a natural thing. So seek community when raising children. Seek community, if you feel that money is an obstacle, reach out to your community and connect with them, because, doing things together is how it's supposed to be. And yeah, connect with me. I'd love to talk with you. And, I love helping people if they come to me. Let's see what we're working with. And yeah, because we're all in this together, and we all need to work together. And we're all one species, and we're supposed to be connecting with each other. And it's the most amazing thing to connect with each other, because our life is so short. And let's enjoy this to the fullest and do the best that we can while we're here on Earth.
Those are awesome words. Awesome words. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And this was a great conversation. And thank you. I learned a lot. I'll make sure to listen. Make sure to listen with my heart. And I think that's one of the most important lessons I come away with from today. Listening. So I'm always trying to take action, just stepping back and just listening, understanding what's going on, and guide the way for me, guide the way for others. I feel like we can all help guide each other towards better outcomes. I feel like everybody has a perspective to share and something to contribute, no matter who they are, or what walk of life they come from. Even those people you see on the streets, they might have some insight to share about what they've been through. So yeah, I think it's important to listen to each other and guide each other towards a better future.